Disclosure Eyes, September 2025.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something truly unique.
Yeah, really unusual. It's a legal document, but, well, not quite like anything you'd typically see.
Exactly. It's titled Plaintiff's Notice of Mercy's Overruling and Declaration of Divine Equity, filed by a Joshua Haltom, acting pro. See, that means he's representing himself.
Right, no lawyer. This is in the U.S. District Court in Tennessee. And he's basically challenging a court dismissal, but using, let's say, unconventional grounds.
That's putting it mildly. We're going to try and unpack his arguments today, how he mixes legal procedure with, well, divine equity, scripture, even prophecy.
It's quite a mix. So the core claim is fascinating. He says, a previous dismissal by the court back around July 2025 has been flat out overruled, not by a higher earthly court, but by what he calls the highest court of conscience and divine equity.
Okay, wow. And divine overruling. How does he even begin to justify that in the legal filing?
Well, he invokes scripture, specifically Deuteronomy 19.15. He says the matter, this overruling, was established by 3 competent witnesses.
3 witnesses for divine court decision.
Yep. And he gets specific about who or what these witnesses are. He also mentions misericordia mercy as like a pillar of this divine jurisdiction he's talking about.
So it's not just abstract, he's building a kind of theological legal structure here.
Precisely. It's like he's asserting this parallel system exists and has already acted.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into these 3 witnesses. This is where it gets really interesting, right? The first one is the witness of law.
That's right. And he connects it to Nuremberg Principle IV.
Okay, refresh us on that one.
So, Nuremberg Principle IV basically says that following orders isn't a valid defense if a moral choice was actually possible. You can't just say, I was told to do it, if you had the option to do otherwise, morally speaking.
And Haltom applies this how?
He argues the court dismissed evidence of systemic opacity, like hidden dealings or lack of transparency. He says the court had a moral choice to hear that evidence.
And by not hearing it.
By not hearing it, he argues, the court incurred liability under this principle. Divine equity, he claims, demands that be addressed.
Okay, that's witness 1. Then there's a witness of conscience. Sounds biblical.
It is. He cites Leviticus 5.1.
Which says,
essentially, if you know about wrongdoing, if you're aware of a sin, and you don't speak up, you bear the guilt, the iniquity yourself.
So the court, by dismissing the case without uttering the truth he presented,
it assumed the iniquity, in Haltom's words. Again, something divine equity needs to fix.
Right. And the third witness, this one's really out there, witness of prophecy.
Yeah, this involves something called the Ashlag prophecy.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Me neither,
Yeah.
before reading this. But Haltom presents it as a warning, rejecting Arvit, which he translates as mutual responsibility or a kind of communal guarantee, invites a dark cloud, some kind of negative consequence. He claims the court's dismissal was exactly that, a judicial rejection of Arvit.
And the proof.
He points to the acceleration of global conflict happening since the dismissal as confirmation of the prophecy. Yeah, it's a huge leap, connecting a specific court decision to global events through prophecy.
Definitely a sweeping claim. Okay, so he lays out these 3 divine witnesses. Then he takes aim directly at the court, calling his earlier motion patently frivolous, right?
He does. He strongly pushes back on that. First, he says the motion wasn't frivolous because it was rooted in factual allegations.
What kind of allegations?
Unlawful property seizure, corruption, specifically naming the Henderson Police Department. He even mentions video evidence, citing a specific file number, ECF 194.
So he's saying, look, there were facts here, not just fluff. And procedurally.
He argues he was just using a standard legal tool, asking for judicial notice under Federal Rule of Evidence 201B.
Which is basically asking the court to accept certain well-known or easily verifiable facts without needing formal proof.
Exactly. A proper and solemn function, he calls it. He thinks the court just confused unconventional with frivolous.
His argument linking local corruption to global instability. That's the unconventional part.
That seems to be it. Linking municipal issues to global problems using international law and moral philosophy. He argues it's unusual, sure, but based on principles, not frivolous.
He even suggests bias, doesn't he?
Yes, he talks about a preconceived outcome and potential conspiratorial bias in the dismissal. And then he brings back the prophecy idea.
How so?
He claims that subsequent global events actually proved his prophetic warning right, which, in his view, directly rebuts the idea that his motion was frivolous, like reality itself backed him up.
It's certainly a unique way to argue against a frivolous ruling. So after all this, What does he actually ask the court to do? What's the remedy?
He frames it as a prayer for reconciliation. He wants the court to basically agree with this divine decree.
How?
3 things. 1, vacate its own dismissal order, sua sponte, meaning on its own initiative.
Without him having to formally ask again in the usual way.
All right. 2, reinstate his original motion for judicial notice. And 3, set a hearing to actually receive the evidence he wanted to present.
And he frames this as
a step towards national and global jubilee. You know, the biblical concept of restoration, release from debts, freedom.
It's quite something. A legal filing that attempts to compel a secular court based on a claimed divine judgment, citing scripture and prophecy alongside legal principles.
Absolutely. It really pushes the boundaries of what you expect to see in court documents.
So wrapping this up, we've looked at this really unusual filing. It blends U.S. law, international principles, biblical verses, prophecy, all to challenge a court decision.
It's a fascinating collision of legal norms and deeply held personal, spiritual beliefs.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? When someone brings their whole worldview, including spiritual convictions, into that very formal legal structure, how does that change our idea of justice or even just argument? What stands out to you when you see these different worlds collide in a courtroom? Something to ponder.